Welcome to Crime Maze. In this video we are going to talk about 5 murders in West Virginia. So before starting this video, like this video, and subscribe to Crime Maze for future updates. Number 5. The husband of a US mother who murdered her 5 children, before setting fire to their family home, and committing herself, says he is going through a very dark moment. Brian Bumgarner is the father of 5 children, ages 1 to 7, who were discovered in his family home in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, with gunshot wounds. Authorities believe Oriana Myers, 25, shot them all on December 8, 2020, in a terrible and awful day. Sheriff Bruce Sloan of Greenbrier County said on Thursday that an investigation revealed she was suffering from depression. He informed reporters that she was furious that her husband, Brian Bumgarner, had spent a fortnight with his father. Bumgarner thanked his pals for their support on Facebook the day after the incident. "I just wanted to express my gratitude and apologize to everyone who has reached out to me and messaged me," the Facebook post stated. "I can't respond to everyone, but I feel like I could fall, and all of you would catch me in a genuinely terrible period. It provides me with something. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's hope, strength, or grit. I only know that I have something, and it isn't nothing." Mackenzie Kersey paid tribute to her sister a few days later. Kersey posted a photo of her and Myers hugging. "I don't know what I'll miss more, the love you emanated or the embraces you gave me." Number 4. On October 29, 2018, Bulger was taken from the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma City to the United States Penitentiary in Hazleton, West Virginia. Bulger, 89, was discovered dead at 8:20 a.m. on October 30th. Bulger was battered to death in a wheelchair by multiple convicts wielding a sock-wrapped padlock and a shiv. Bulger was characterized as unrecognizable by a law enforcement official, after his eyes were nearly gouged out and his tongue was nearly severed. This was the prison's 3rd homicide in a 40-day period. 104. Just days before the most recent Hazleton tragedy, correctional personnel informed Congress that institutions were dangerously understaffed. Fotios, Freddie Hayes, 51, and his brother were sentenced to life in prison in 2011 for their roles in many violent crimes, including the 2003 shooting of Adolfo Big Al Bruno, a Genovese crime family boss, in a Springfield, Massachusetts parking lot. Bulger's medical status was lowered on October 8, 2018, just before he was transported, according to ABC News. Bulger's burial mass was performed at St. Monica, St. Augustine Church in South Boston on November 8, 2018. His brother, former Massachusetts State Senate President William M. Bulger, and Catherine Gregg's twin sister were among those who went. Many Bostonians were relieved to learn of Bulger's death, particularly family members of his victims. Stephen Davis, whose sister Deborah was allegedly murdered by Bulger in 1981, said, "He died the way I hoped he always was going to die." Bulger is buried in St. Joseph's Cemetery in West Roxbury, Boston, under a Bulger family gravestone with his parents' names engraved on it. The Bulger family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Justice Department in September 2019, alleging that by lowering Bulger's medical status and transferring him to Hazleton, he was deliberately placed in harm's way. There is simply no other explanation for someone in his condition and inmate status to be placed in the general population of one of the country's most violent prisons. The Bulgers are suing for $200,000 in damages. Number 3. Mary Beth Davis, born c. 1952, is an American nurse who was found guilty in 1997 of the murders of her 2 children, while maintaining her innocence for several years. After accepting a plea deal and confessing to the crimes, Davis was freed from prison in 2007. Davis was charged with the death of Tegan and the injuries of Seth in 1997. Prosecutors claimed Davis had Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a disorder in which a person lies about their children's illnesses to obtain sympathy and attention. Davis was suspected of causing her son's overdose, but she had previously indicated that he had Leigh syndrome or an unidentified growth hormone deficit. Apart from that, Dr. Barry Wolfe thought Tegan had the same genetic condition as him. Tegan was diagnosed with Reyes syndrome shortly after her death in 1982, and these information refuted Dr. Hooper's report that Tegan was murdered, Mary Beth's defense. Despite these facts, Davis was sentenced to life in prison without the chance of release. Seth Davis, who was 21 years old at the time of his murder, was a homicide victim. Mary Beth Davis, then 55, was freed from prison in 2007, after agreeing to a plea agreement and making a one-word confession. Number 2. Samuel I. Cabell, 1802 to 1865, a rich Virginia plantation owner in the Kanawha River Valley, may have been murdered for marrying one of his former slaves and providing for their progeny. Despite the fact that 7 white men were cleared of the charges against him, his will was upheld, and his descendants went on to enjoy prosperous lives. West Virginia State University, a historically black college, was founded on part of his former plantation about 9 miles west of what would soon become the new state capital of Charleston. On July 18, 1865, Samuel I. Cabell was assassinated at his residence. Allen Spradling, Andrew Jackson Spradling, Mark L. Spradling, Stark B. Whittington, Lawrence Whittington, William Whittington, and Christopher Williams were arrested a week later, according to a weekly pro-Union Charlestown newspaper. Local newspapers were divided, with some blaming the Union League, and others denying it, while emphasizing the victims' rebel sympathies. Several trials were placed, but no transcripts were prepared or found. The clerk's office records merely state that each of the defendants was found not guilty. Cabell did not file a will in the Kanawha County Courthouse during his lifetime, possibly because precautionary storage was not allowed, but the clerk's office later obtained at least 4 wills, all of which included Mary Barnes and their children. On November 24, 1851, the first will was written. Slaves who fled during the Civil War, or were abducted by Union troops were specifically denied manumission in the final will and testament, dated September 12, 1863. Cabell's growing family, as well as Virginia state statutes and judicial rulings in the 1850s, that made manumission more difficult, are reflected in the number of wills. The Kanawha County Commissioners deemed all the wills legal in December 1865, and Mary and her children were allowed to alter their surnames to Cabell in 1869. In late 1865, Napoleon Bonaparte Cabell was appointed legal guardian of the 6 youngest children, and in 1870 and 1871, the commissioners split the estate among Mary and the children. Despite petitions in the 1870s to remove all Negroes from Kanawha County, the community that grew up on the former plantation remained a haven in a sometimes racist atmosphere, surviving despite efforts to prohibit all Negroes from Kanawha County. Number 1. From January 1 to April 3, 2013, Walter Eugene Crum was the sheriff of Mingo County, West Virginia, USA. He is renowned for having been assassinated after only 3 months and 2 days in his job. His death was widely reported in news outlets across the United States, including Fox News, The Huffington Post, and CBS. Tennis is a sport that is played by Melvin Maynard. The man suspected of shooting and killing Crum has a history of mental illness, but he has never claimed or demonstrated a vengeance against law enforcement. Maynard's mental instability could have been caused by toxic chemicals and an injury while working in an Alabama coal mine, according to his father. Maynard's father maintained that he would not have chosen Crum as a target. Maynard's father, on the other hand, indicated that his son was off, and that he might have shot anyone, including the first person he saw. He stated that his son should have been admitted to a hospital, and that he had previously been institutionalized. Crum was accused of abusing Maynard after it was revealed that he had tutored him in boxing as a boy. What do you think about this video? Which of the following 5 murders in West Virginia you find most horrific? Do let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.